Hello, hello. It says I'm live. Don't know for sure. Had to get a new pen for doing my Bible study because I ran all the ink out of the other one. And this one's harder to get off the spiral. That's a good thing, though, that I used it. Okay. Trying to make sure I have everything. All right. So how are you? Is anybody in here? I have a piece of peppermint in my mouth. I shouldn't have, but my mouth was a little bit dry, so I thought, why not? Trying to make sure I have everything open and ready for me. I should have already done it, but I'm just not. I don't know. Donna, did you see the reply? Oh, good. I'm glad you got it. I just printed it out and stuck it in there and stick it in the mailbox because it had not come yet. I did it as quickly as I could because I wanted you to get it as quickly as you could. Because I know this time of the year, the mail is a lot slower, which is understandable because lots of people are sending things, lots more packages being delivered, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to get it there as quickly as I could. And I know with it being just like a piece of mail like that, it's different. Hi, Amy. Trying to get to the right page. How are your fingers, Carol? I want to get this candy out of my mouth. I'm going to crunch it. I shouldn't. But I want it gone because I don't feel like I can talk to y'all. But it feels so weird. Anyways, how are your fingers, Carol? Since you jammed them, because I haven't talked to you about them. I haven't asked. So rude. Play the piano slower. You're really working hard on the piano. But I guess we can go ahead and talk about like the prayer request. I haven't had anybody with new ones. But Donna, I have not asked you about your daughter-in-law or your friend, Winter. I have not asked you, and I'm sorry. Whenever Jeff is off work, my mind goes somewhere else. It's just not here. I actually did contact Jatan to ask about Ashley, how the pregnancy's going and everything, and she didn't reply. Oh, wow. That's terrible. I want this candy out of my mouth, but I don't want to spit it out. I don't know who else was in. Winter's out of the hospital, but they took 30 pounds off her fluid. Wow. That's a lot of fluid. I'm glad she's on the mend. I didn't even know adults could get RSV. I thought it was a baby thing. I didn't know it was an adult thing. Oh, that's good. I'm glad he's back to normal. They took off 72 pounds off my husband when they found out he had. Oh, wow. That's a lot. I didn't even know your body could like hold so much fluid until I worked at a hospital. But it is a lot. Okay. So I don't have any new prayer requests that I know of. But you guys probably wrote down all the other ones that I'd already talked about. If there's anything that any new ones, let me know. I put this here to help me not forget it, and it's bugging me. Okay, so Jeff went back to work Sunday night. He almost died then. Okay, yes, I have that I didn't know if you wanted me to mention. There's some things I don't know if y'all want me to mention or not. I have said this before. I should start asking you, and make a special note in my stuff to mention it. But there's some things, if you send it to me in an email or something like that, I don't want your business out there if you don't want your business out there. And it's that kind of thing. But yes, keep Donna in your prayers. So, and if anybody ever does have a prayer request, you can either leave it in the comments or send me an email. Either one is fine with me. I will get it. Hopefully, I will probably get it faster with an email, because sometimes I don't get the comments. I haven't had, that I know of, any comments not get to me lately. I think they fixed that situation, but you never know. But yeah, if I ever don't respond to a comment, it's probably because I didn't get it. And maybe leave another one and say, hey, this just not happened. You didn't get this. But anyway, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started. Well, I better I marked where I had stopped reading, not where I needed to be. But I did bring out a different Bible because I brought out my Tony Evans study Bible. The reason why I brought it out was because I have the commentary that goes with it, and I felt like I needed a little bit more study help this time. So I did bring that out. And I also printed something out for myself that I hope will help us, like for showing y'all, and I laminated it. I didn't think about the glare that's going to be on it though. I did a map off of my eSword, but I'm hoping that this will help us while we're doing our studies to have a visual. For me, sometimes helps me understand like distances and stuff a little bit better than just reading it. Because you can tell me it's a mile down the road and I don't know how to judge that. That's just me. I don't know how to judge, things like that. Usually if it's more than 3 feet, I'm in a mess. But because 3 feet's a yard, yardage has to do with sewing. So I remember that part. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We know that now Saul has died and Jonathan and some of his sons, but he does have another son, which we're going to learn about today. But Saul has died, and David's about to find out. So let's go ahead and start reading in verse 1. After the death of Saul, David returned from defeating the Amalekites and stayed at Ziklag 2 days. Also, this is 2 Samuel, just in case anybody else comes in. 2 Samuel chapters 1 and 2. I need to send a mileage chart for the Old and New Testament. I think like this has that kind of thing. And I can look at that and I can tell, but any kind of study helps. I enjoy them. But I can judge that way. I have to see it. I can read maps. Okay. I'm not perfect. Nobody ever taught me. I just kind of try my best. And I haven't got myself lost yet. But doing GPS, the digital stuff, it's like, yeah, you can show me where it's at, and you can tell me I got to turn on so-and-so street. Don't tell me north, south, east, and west. You better tell me something different than that. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and read it again. Verse 1. After the death of Saul, David returned from defeating the Amalekites and stayed at Ziklag 2 days. On the third day, a man with torn clothes and dust on his head came from Saul's camp. When he came to David, he fell to the ground and paid homage. David asked him, "Where have you come from?" He replied to him, "I've escaped from the Israelite camp." "What was the outcome? Tell me," David asked him. "The troops fled from the battle," he answered. "Many of the troops have fallen and are dead. Also, Saul and his son Jonathan are dead." It kind of, I wonder why. I know that Jonathan is a big part of David's life because he was like a best friend, is the way that I would see it. But they don't mention the other sons that died, even though they did. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading. "I happened to be on Mount Gilboa," he replied, "and there was Saul leaning on his spear. At that very moment, the chariots and cavalry were closing in on him. When he turned around and saw me, he called out to me, so I answered, 'I'm at your service.' He asked me, 'Who are you?' I told him, 'I'm an Amalekite.' Then he begged me, 'Stand over me and kill me, for I am mortally wounded, but my life still lingers.' So I stood over him and killed him because I knew that after he had fallen, he couldn't survive. I took the crown that was on his head and the armband that was on his arm, and I brought them here to my Lord." Okay, so when I read this, I was like, that's not what happened in 1 Samuel. That's not what happened. So I started searching my Bibles and my study Bibles, and I started trying to figure things out. And that is true, Donna. But I started looking, and I saw that many of the different commentaries that I was reading said that this man was most likely like a grave robber. He was lying to David. He brought the crown and bracelet or armband to David to try to get in his good graces. So this man is lying. He's lying. So the man was an Amalekite, which first of all is the enemy. That's who David is wanting to kill, to get rid of. And the man is obviously lying, most likely for stealing from the dead. And he probably was trying to get favor by telling him this. But we know that Saul had killed himself because his armor bearer would not do it. His armor bearer would not have allowed this Amalekite to do this. So I'm pretty sure there was the spidey senses, as they say. They were probably tingling for David. I'm sure he smelled the lies. He knew that there was lies because Saul wouldn't have been alone. And unless his armor bearer was already dead, this couldn't have happened, which most likely this guy didn't think about that because he's not an Israelite, because he didn't know how things work, most likely. But he came and he lied. So let's keep going. Then David took hold of his clothes and tore them, and all the men with him did the same. They mourned, wept, and fasted until the evening for those who died by the sword. For Saul, his son Jonathan, and the the Lord's people and the house of Israel. David inquired of the young man who had brought him the report, "Where are you from?" "I'm the son of a resident alien," he said. "I am an Amalekite." David questioned him, "How is it that you were not afraid to lift your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" We're seeing a pattern here that he's starting to ask. Then David summoned one of his servants and said, "Come here and kill him." The servant struck him and he died. For David, he had said to the Amalekite, "Your blood is on your own head, because your own mouth testified against you by saying, 'I killed the Lord's anointed.'" So no matter how much that David could have at time, or no matter how many times David could have killed Saul, he did not do it because he was the Lord's anointed. And because this man said he killed the Lord's anointed, even though he didn't, he has now been killed. If he had not lied, this probably wouldn't have happened. If he had not come to, well, first of all, if he had not been stealing from the dead, which is disgusting to me, if he had not been stealing from the dead, he wouldn't have found Saul. He wouldn't have found Jonathan, most likely. But most likely he was going around to every single dead person and he was finding any trinket he could. Because, soldiers, they probably have some kind of good luck charm or some kind of trinket, some kind of something, some kind of reminder of home or something like that is valuable, sometimes valuable to just them. Sometimes it's valuable as monetary gain. You could get, it's valuable in monies. So this man, he messed with the wrong one, is what I would say. So he said he killed the Lord's anointed. And David was like, "I'm not going to have any of that. I didn't even do that. I didn't even kill him." That's what David is probably thinking. I didn't even do that. And I had lots of chances. I could have done it. I had plenty of motive. I could have done it, but I did not, because I respected God more. And so David had him killed, but David didn't do it himself, which I wondered why, because, he had killed Goliath. He had killed in other battles, but he didn't do that with this man. I don't know. Verse 17, David sang the following lament for Saul and his son Jonathan, and he ordered that the Judahites be taught the song of the bow. It is written in the book of Jasher. Now, the way I actually just pronounced that wrong is pronounced Yashar. I can't say it. That's why I say Jasher. I don't know myself, but I started looking, because there's the Apocrypha, and then there's the Dead Sea Scrolls, and there's all these different books that were part of the Bible at one point, and then they were taken out because they were not canonized and things like that. So I was looking, I was trying to figure out, because I've thought about this before and I've looked at it before, but I didn't remember. I was like, what is the book of Jasher? Well, there is a book of Jasher now, but they say it's not an actual book, that it's not part of the Bible, or never was part of the Bible, that it is an imitation. It is a, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but anyway, it is a fraud. So, I started looking more. So I thought, okay, why would this be in here if we're not supposed to know what the book of Jasher is? And I started looking, and I found in my concordance, the Strong's Concordance, I've shown y'all before, I'm not going to pull that big book down, that Jasher means straight, literally and figuratively. It means straight. It means convenient, equity, just. It means righteous, righteousness, and upright. I wrote all these things down. So most likely this was not like a book that, even if it was a real book, like the Psalms and things like that, it was not some special thing that God felt needed to be in the Bible, maybe. I don't know. Like the whole entire thing, which it is here, but it's not the whole entire book. So I'm not sure what the book of Jasher is, but I was very curious about it. So if any of you have any knowledge about it, I would be very appreciative to learn more, because what I have found is there are frauds out, and there's no copies that are existing now. So I don't know. But we do have this one poem or psalm or song or whatever you want to call it here in 2 Samuel. And starting at verse 19, it says, "The splendor of Israel lies slain on your heights. How the mighty have fallen. Do not tell it in Gath. Don't announce it in the marketplaces of Ashkelon, or the daughters of the Philistines will rejoice, and the daughters of the uncircumcised will celebrate. Mountains of Gilboa, let no dew or rain be on you, or fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty was defiled. The shield of Saul, no longer anointed with oil. Jonathan's bow never retreated. Saul's sword never returned unstained from the blood of the slain, from the flesh of the mighty. Saul and Jonathan loved and delightful. They were not parted in life or death. They were swifter than eagles, stronger than lions. Daughters of Israel, weep for Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with luxurious things, who decked your garments with gold ornaments. How the mighty have fallen in the thick of battle. Jonathan lies slain on your heights. I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You were such a friend to me. Your love for me was more wondrous than the love of a woman. How the mighty have fallen, and the weapons of war have perished." So we all know that David is a poet. The book of Psalms tells us that. We know that that is one way he expressed himself in songs and psalms, and whenever he lamented, he let it out in verbiage instead of just, he did it in different ways, but he was a great poet and he would tell things. But if you go through this and you read it, there's instructions in it, I feel. First, he talks about the splendor of Israel lies slain on your heights, how the mighty have fallen. So he's talking about Saul, because Saul was once a great king, and he was splendorous, if that's a word. But then he says, "Do not tell it in Gath, don't announce it in the marketplaces of Ashkelon, or the daughters of the Philistines will rejoice, and the daughters of the uncircumcised will celebrate." He didn't want people rejoicing over Saul's death. He wanted people to remember him. Joshua 10:13, verse 18. Okay, I'm going to grab the phone. But he wanted people to remember Saul and not mock him. Where am I at? 10:13. 10:13. "And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about the whole day." Yeah, I know that it's in the Bible several times, but I wonder if there is actually a book of Jasher, like one we could read, because even if it's not in the Bible, it may have some helps. You know what I'm saying? I have the Apocrypha, and I haven't read a lot of it, but I do have it, and I could read it. I could go back and read it. And I believe it could teach us things that we might want to know, things like that. But yes, I need to write that down so I can put it in the notes in the thing. It might be there, or Catholic Bible, not for sure. I actually have a Catholic Bible. It's a Precious Moments one. I got it on clearance at Family Family Christian bookstore, but it's not. I don't think it's in there. Let me grab it. We'll find out. It's a tiny little baby Bible. I mean, it's not tiny, but it's a small one. If it'll focus. There we go. But this is a Catholic Bible. So let's see. Oh no, things are falling out. Let's see. This is in alphabetical, so that's why I went to it. No, it's not in here. Because they have it alphabetical and textual. But no, it's not in here. They've actually got the contents a few ways, like Old Testament, New Testament, stuff like that. But no, it's not in the Catholic Bible. Not this one, anyways. Now, I don't know why it wouldn't be in this one and in other ones. I don't know. But anyways, where was I at? So David did not want people to go out and talk about this in a, like, he didn't want people celebrating the death of Saul and Jonathan. Because he still respected Saul, even after all the evil that Saul did to him. And I really feel like that David saw that it wasn't actually Saul who was doing these things, that it was Satan working through him. I feel that. I may be wrong, but that's just the way I feel, that maybe David saw that it was not this man who was doing this, that this was out of his character. So then let's see where we at. Mountains of Gilboa, let not dew or rain be on you, or fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty was defiled, the shield of Saul, no longer anointed with oil. So he's saying that place where he died, he did not want it to flourish. Without rain, it wouldn't flourish. That's my thought anyway. Jonathan's bow never retreated. Saul's sword never returned unstained from the blood of the slain, from the flesh of the mighty. So they didn't ever come back. They didn't shy away from the battle, is what I would think that means. I may be wrong. Saul and Jonathan, loved and delightful. They were not parted in life or in death. They were swifter than eagles, stronger than lions. Daughters of Israel, weep for Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with luxurious things, who decked your garments with gold ornaments. So he's saying, you need to weep for him. We need to grieve for Saul, because he was the anointed. Because he did do things. He was good in some ways. How the mighty have fallen in the thick of battle. He said that so many times, how the mighty have fallen, how the mighty have fallen. And, I've heard people say that a lot of times whenever someone is in the Hebrew Bible, Book of the Upright. I've got a Hebrew Bible on my Amazon wish list, and I have been wanting to buy that for so long. You just made me want to buy it more. But I don't. I have so many Bibles. Now I want to get it. I have so many that I was like, no, I'm just not going to get it. Maybe I'll ask for it for Christmas or something. But anyways, where was I at? Okay, he was talking about how the mighty. Oh no, don't be sorry. It's fine. I can control myself. I promise. It's been on my list for a while. I don't just go buy things just because. Some things I have to really think about before I actually go purchase. I have to really decide, do I really want this? So I'll put it on my wish list, and there's a lot of things I have saved money by doing that, by not clicking put it into carts. I clicked put it in the wish list, and then I'll go and I'll be like, I'll look back at my wish list, and months later I've forgotten about it. So I didn't really need that thing. So there's my tip for you. Put it in the wish list. And then you'll have a Christmas list for yourself if somebody asks. Or you'll have oh, I really didn't need this. Let me delete it. That kind of thing. But anyway, David is also lamenting the death of Jonathan. Jonathan was his I see it as like they were his best friends, which I've heard some people will try to say that there was like more to their relationship than friendship and things like that. But there's nothing in the Bible that says that. Nothing. Just because he says that he loved more than of women, the thing is, that is the way in their culture that they spoke. They didn't see love the way we see love. Now it's different. They spoke differently. They thought differently. They didn't have all this warped sense of everything, I guess is what I would just have to say. But whenever he said he loved Jonathan, he loved him like a brother. He loved him like a best friend. He didn't, there was nothing wrong about the way he thought. Nothing that would have been anything that people say, now. But anyways, there's a lot in that lament, in that poem. And that's the way David would grieve. He would write poems. He would write songs, psalms, So, we're going to go on to chapter 2, unless there's something else you guys, if I've missed something, if there's something I needed to say that I didn't say, or something that you saw that I didn't see, or you thought that I didn't think. Things like that. I'm going to have a sip of water and wait a minute for y'all to say. Maybe not a whole minute, but, But I feel like there was a lot in that first chapter. Even though I didn't think it would be a lot whenever I read it the first time. I was like, wow, maybe we should have done more. Because I just read it quickly. And then I went on. Yeah, I've seen people say that too, but I just don't think they were. They were both married. They had kids. Right? You're right. People don't always look at the culture of the way people spoke. I mean, if you really look at it, honestly, if you look at it, in my experience, I was raised mostly in the country. Now I live in a city. It's not the biggest city, but it's the city. But there's differences in the culture from country life to city life. Differences I had to get used to. Differences I will never be able to get used to. But there's difference in that. So if there's a difference in the same exact state, sometimes the same county, but the same state that you live in, there's going to be differences in different countries, different other states, different cultures, period. Because I believe that, country life is a culture, kind of. City life is a culture. It's different because it just is. And yes, I have adapted to live in the city. I can live in the city. I don't love living in the city, but there are differences. There are things that I do think or, say that other people are like, what? Differences also in the South and other places. I've heard it said you should need a passport to visit here. Seriously, it's a culture shock to move here from, say, LA. Yeah, it's a culture shock. That's why a culture shock. That's why some people don't understand the Bible, because they don't know their culture nor history exactly, nor maps. That's why I have so many Bibles. Honestly, that's why I have so many Bibles. That's why I have so many different study helps. That's why I have different commentaries. there are some things that I am more passionate about, that I have these different things to help me. So different move from New Mexico from Texas. Exactly. It's different everywhere. If I moved, I'm pretty sure, Amy, if I moved to New Mexico, it would be weird for me. I mean, even the way we talk, the way I talk now, I know it's different than the way I talked before I moved here 10 years ago. Because I think I might have lost some of my Southern girl. I'm pretty sure I have. And I know that both of my children have. And I miss their little Southern accents because they don't talk like a country kid anymore. I miss that. And that's just moving an hour difference. When I moved to Kansas City from Nashville, some people could not understand the accent. I mean, it's just like, I don't know why though. It's like, wait a minute, why? Because I have this thing where that, like, if English is not someone's first language, if it's not their first language, I can usually still understand what they're saying. But like Jeff, he can't sometimes. I can still get, like, I don't know. I guess I can read through the translation. I don't know what it is, but I can figure out what they mean and what they're saying, where he can't sometimes. But we have to understand the culture. We have to, or we're going to not understand the Bible. It's plain and simple. That's, and if we don't want to actually study that part, we won't. I feel like I have felt like I have lost some of my southern ways. Girl, you better get them back. No, anyway, I just feel like we need to learn it. We need to learn the cultures. So try moving from Arkansas to North Carolina, then loud and slow, drawn out, now fast as a typewriter. Okay, Jeffrey has his own language. He was born in North Carolina. That's where some of his family's from. He lived in Texas as a child, and then he moved to Alabama, which is where his mama's family is from. So his daddy's family is North Carolina. Some of them is in Texas. Some of them here. Well, he has this mishmash of this southern hillbilly country boy speak. And it's just like, yeah, Jeff has his own language. And in fact, I think in either tonight's video or last night's video, I don't know which one. I think it was last night's video. I said, if you don't understand something he's saying, just let me know, because I've known him forever. I've known him since I was 14, and that's 31 years. So I know what he means more than most people do. Sometimes even more than our children. Sometimes not a lot, but sometimes. But he has his own way of talking, and that's okay. Because we all do. I have my own words that are kind of out there sometimes. But anyway, let's get back to the Bible study. But yeah, we have to get to know each other. That's why I don't judge anyone until like they give me a right to judge them. And I know that people say you're not supposed to judge anybody. Well, righteous judgment is okay. You can judge right and wrong. You may not judge the actual person, but you can know why they're doing wrong or why they're doing right. That kind of thing. California to Arkansas to North Carolina, I'm 1/3 of all accents. Oh my goodness. That's wild. All right, so let's go on to chapter 2. Sometime later, David inquired of the Lord, should I go on to the towns of Judah? And the Lord answered him, go. Then David asked, where should I go? To Hebron, the Lord replied. So that's why I got this. It's not our job to judge. Yes, to tell someone this is wrong is different. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about judge the actual person. I mean, judge their actions. Judge their fruit. We're allowed to do that. Because some people have some stanky fruit. Now, I thought that this would be better, so I laminated it. It might be a mistake because I didn't think about glares. But I'm going to try to get it up here. And there is Hebron. Okay. So, let's see. Oh, yeah. It's the same thing I just read. There's Hebron. If it'll focus. It's not going to like it to focus. Maybe y'all can see that. All right. So, I forget now where they were at. Ziklag. All right. Let me find it on here real quick. Is it on here? It may not even be on here. I might have wasted my time doing this. I might have did the wrong map. Well, I'm not seeing it. So I probably did the wrong map, and this is not going to help us. That's not good. I'll try to do better next time, but I'm keeping this. But no, I don't see it on there at all. Why didn't I look at that? I was so excited about the little map. Goodness. There's a Tootsie Frontier Christian. What is that, Carol? Okay, let me finish reading this. I'm sorry the map did not do what I thought it was going to do. So David went there with his 2 wives, Ahinoam and the Jezreelite, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. In addition, David brought the men who were with him, each one with his family, and they settled in the towns near Hebron. Then the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. They told David, it was the men of Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul. David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, the Lord bless you because you have shown this kindness to Saul, your Lord, when you buried him. Now may the Lord show kindness and faithfulness to you, and will also show the same goodness to you because you have done this deed. So let's see if we can find Jabesh Gilead on here. There is a way. No, I don't see it on here. What have I done? Not good maps. I didn't do very good. Tutti Frutti. Tootsie Fruity? Fruity what? Tootsie Fruity? But there was a way that you could like share your screen. I'm going to have to learn how to do that again. I used to be able to do it a long time ago whenever I did live streams, but they've changed stuff. So I'm going to have to see if I can do that again. So maybe I can just do a map and show y'all the screen. But anyway, let me go ahead and do this. David sent me, okay, I read that part. Therefore, be strong and valiant, for thou Saul your Lord is dead. The house of Judah has anointed me king over them. So now he is the king over the house of Judah. So now we're going to go on to where the Abner is doing something that he should not even, I don't even think he has the right or privilege or whatever to do. He's not allowed, from what I think. Abner, son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, took Saul's son Ishbosheth and moved him to Mahanaim. He made him king over Gilead, Asher, Jezreel, Ephraim, Benjamin, over all Israel. Saul's son Ishbosheth was 40 years old when he became king over Israel. He reigned for 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David. The length of time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Abner, son of Ner, and soldiers of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, marched from Mahanaim to Gibeon. So Saul, son of Zeruiah, nope, that's not right. So Joab, son of Zeruiah, and David's soldiers marched out and met them by the pool of Gibeon. The 2 groups took up positions on opposite sides of the pool. So Abner has made Ishbosheth king when he shouldn't be. Fruity Tootsie is a candy. We wanted to know. So we Googled it. Tootsie Rolls they have fruity ones. The vanilla ones are good. But anyways, um, so David is king over Judah, and then they have Ishbosheth, who is king over um, Gilead, Asher, Jezreel, Ephraim, and Benjamin. You can't have two kings of Israel. It's just not possible. It's just you can't. It's a house divided, is the way I see it. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let's have the young men get up and compete in front of us." "Let them get up," Joab replied. So they got up and were counted off, 12 for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and 12 from David's soldiers. Then each man grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his sword into his opponent's side, so they all died together. So this place, which is in Gibeon, is named Field of Blades. Now, why? Why would they even decide, oh, well, let's just go up here and stab each other in the side with swords? We'll just be the sacrifices. This just sounds dumb to me. And that's the only word I can think. The best advice I got was take your sense of humor with you wherever you go. Exactly. I don't know why that these 12, well, 24, isn't it? Because 12 on each side, yes. 24 young men, young valiant soldiers, I would think. Why would they do that? I don't get it. I'm so confused by that. It doesn't make sense. I know it was like a contest. I know it was something they decided to do, but it just doesn't make sense. But either way, the battle ended in a tie. There was no winner, there was no loser. The battle that day was extremely fierce, and Abner, the men of Israel, were defeated by David's soldiers. So Abner, who was Saul's commander, he's defeated. The three sons of Zeruiah were there: Joab, Abishai, I think that's how you say it, or is it Abishai? I don't know. And Asahel. Asahel was a fast runner like one of the wild gazelles. He chased Abner and did not turn to the right or the left in his pursuit of him. Abner glanced back and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" "Yes, it is," Asahel replied. Abner said to him, "Turn to your right or left, seize one of the young soldiers, and take whatever you can get from him." But Asahel would not stop chasing him. Once again, Abner warned Asahel, "Stop chasing me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How could I ever look your brother Joab in the face?" So he's given him a chance to stop. He's given him a chance to not fight him. But Asahel refused to turn away, so Abner hit him in the stomach with the butt of his spear. The spear went through his body, and he fell and died right there. As they all came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died, they stopped. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner. By sunset, they had gone as far as the hill of Ammah, which is opposite Giah, on the way to the wilderness of Gibeon. So Abner had given him a chance not to do it, or not to battle him or whatever, but he didn't take that chance. He didn't run away. He was doing what he felt was right, which was fighting for Israel, is what I see it as. I could be wrong. The Benjamites rallied to Abner. They formed a unit and took their stand on top of the hill. Then Abner called out to Joab, "Must the sword devour it forever? Don't you realize this will only end in bitterness? How long before you tell the troops to stop pursuing their brothers?" So, and actually, if you think about it, these are brothers. These are probably relations to each other. "As God lives," Joab replied, "if you have not spoken up, the troops wouldn't have stopped pursuing their brothers until morning." Then Joab blew the ram's horn, and all the troops stopped. They no longer pursued Israel or continued to fight. So Abner and his men marched through the Arabah all that night. They crossed the Jordan, marched all morning, and arrived in Mahanaim. When Joab had turned back from pursuing Abner, he gathered all the troops. In addition to Asahel, 19 of David's soldiers were missing. but they had killed 360 of the Benjamites and Abner's men. Afterward, they carried Asahel to his father's tomb in Bethlehem and buried him. Then Joab and his men marched all night and reached Hebron at dawn. So there was a huge fight between family members, cousins, brothers, possibly siblings that, I mean, not siblings, but like fathers and sons. Who knows? I don't know. Because these are actually the same people. They're all Israelites, but they're fighting amongst themselves. There is a civil war here that did not need to take place. There's so much division between Saul and God before Saul died that even Saul's men didn't seem to be following God. They didn't seem to be following what God had said, because God had anointed David. He had not anointed how do I say his name? I had to look at it every time. Ishbosheth. I was just said it right too. He didn't anoint him. He anointed David. But Saul's commander didn't even know that he wasn't supposed to do that, or he was so lost that he anointed the wrong, or he put the wrong one into position of leadership. And honestly, from what I understand, Ishbosheth was sickly. I don't know exactly what was wrong with him. If I'm thinking correctly, he was sickly. He was not a well man. He not like crazy or anything, but his like physically ill, I believe. But I could be wrong. He couldn't do what he needed to do, but he did reign for 2 years. But it goes back to Saul. If Saul had not done what he did, it wouldn't have ever led the people astray. But whenever he lost his anointing and David became the anointed, everybody didn't see it because they were still following Saul. They weren't following God. And that's the problem we have, is people follow people. They're not following God. They're not following the one that they should be for their direction. They're still seeking people. And the only way we're actually going to know what God wants is to go to him. We can't go to people. Yes, we can go to our pastor. Yes, we can go to our elders. Yes, we can go to someone who is farther along in their Christian walk and get godly advice. But if we are not ultimately seeking God by reading his word, by staying in the path that he expects us to stay on, we're just going to be lost. And we're going to be in a civil war. We're going to be in a fight with our own people. And I see it in the church now. I see people on Instagram and YouTube and all this other stuff bad mouthing the other people. And instead of bad mouthing this one or that one that may be in the limelight, they might be big and they might have started off with humble roots and they were following God. And they started out right, but then they started veering off into the flashy lights and all that stuff. Because you hear about pastors that have fallen, that they have gone the wrong way, they've done the wrong things, they just all kind of things. You hear about biblical teachers, you hear about Christian artists, singers, just all these different things. You hear them go other ways. I was disgusted when people started dissing Rick Warren when his son killed himself. That doesn't even make sense because Rick had nothing to do with that. That didn't make sense to me either, Donna. the man was suffering. His child had just committed suicide, and everybody attacked he, or not everybody, but people started attacking him. Like, he can control his adult child. I can't control my adult children. And honestly, it's not my place to control them. It's my place to bring them up in the best way I know how, which is, I'm sure, what Rick did, you know. But what I'm saying is not something like that. I'm saying people who have actually veered off the path. Rick didn't, as far as I know. I don't, I'm talking about that. But people, and that's a good example, people going at each other when someone has either a bad thing happen or they actually veer off the path. Today, people don't want to hear about suicide. They keep it all hush hush in the church. That's my opinion only. Well, the thing is, whenever you ignore it, it becomes worse. It becomes a cliche or a taboo thing. And people need to know that they don't have to go that route, that they have love from others. There's a lot of things that are not discussed in the church that should be. Marriage is one. They don't discuss it enough in the church. People don't know how to be biblical wives and husbands. Raising children is another one. Yeah, there's a stigma. There's no reason for that to happen, because if they actually read their Bible, they would see it's all there. And a lot of people, like when I first became a Christian, I didn't know how to study the Bible. I still don't know if I'm doing it right. I try. I'm staying in it. I'm not giving up. So I'm learning new things all the time. But so many things are not talked about that people are afraid to bring it up. And then that's not right, Amy. You should be able to. You can do it here. You can do it here if nowhere else. That is horrible. I'm so sorry, Carol. I would have wanted to slap them too. But yeah, people don't, mental illness is not talked about in the church. Even physical illness is not. There's so many things that the church is not talking about that do matter, but they're talking about things that don't matter. What makes me mad is blaming mental illness on Satan entirely. I don't believe it's just Satan. I believe that he started anything that is bad, yes, it stems from him, I feel. But trauma can cause mental illness. Genetics can cause it. There's a lot of things. Exactly, Carol. They do need to. But there's so many things that are not talked about. Like the last church that we went to, it seemed that they were focusing more on music, which is important, but not as important on, it's not as important as discipling people, helping them grow in the Lord. Yes, it's important. Music is good. It lifts you up. It helps you. I love music, but that's not going to get me closer to God. It's just not. I love a good Christian song. I love contemporary Christian. I love hymns, but that's not going to get me closer to God. It's just not going to help me know how to study the Bible. It's not going to help me in my walk. So all that stuff, that's one reason why I wanted to do this Bible study, which I know whenever I started it, it was different than what it is now. And I feel like that I had to figure out what it needed to be. And honestly, I think that I get more from us studying the books of the Bible like we've been doing the last little bit than I did in the beginning. I got from it, but I feel like there's more here. The truth in love is what seems to be lacking. For too many years, the church has used scare tactics to keep people in line instead of truth and love. Completely agree with you all on about mental illness. Well, see, there another thing, Val, is they would it was hellfire and brimstone if you do this, but they didn't ever tell you why that was wrong. And I am the type of person that has to know why it's wrong. And if you can't tell me why it's wrong, if you can't give me a biblical reference, then I'm not going to trust you. That's just the way I feel. Now, that doesn't mean that something that's blatantly, obviously wrong, that I'm not going to believe it. But like they used to tell us in the church whenever I was little, girls cannot wear pants. They used to say, you don't wear jewelry, you don't wear makeup, which I know I don't have any on, but still. You don't cut your hair. You know, all that stuff is not even in the Bible. It's not there. And it's like, they scared you, made you think you were going to go to hell if you wore earrings or if you put on some chapstick that was a little bit red, you know. But they didn't tell you the things you needed to know. I would never have learned how, tattoos. I would never have learned what God wanted from me if I had not started studying for myself. Which now, the church that I went to, I don't see that anymore. All that stuff, I don't see it anymore. Because I've gone back to that church, that denomination. I've been in that denomination. My family is still in that denomination, a lot of them. We usually go to a non-denominational church, which is still a denomination. But anyway, I don't see that as much anymore because it was a man-made thing and they figured it out, I think. Now, some still don't cut hair, still don't wear pants and all that, and that's fine, but they don't judge people who do, or at least most of them don't. But yeah, it's like you don't know what if you don't stay in the word yourself, you're not going to know anything. You're not going to do what you need to do. And I shouldn't have put my Bible over here because there does seem to be a sifting of the wheat in the church as a whole, which is so needed. Nor belong with surface arguments. Yes, you do need to know why. Otherwise, we make our own reasons. Exactly. I mean, if I don't know why something is happening, it's just going to confuse me and I'm going to be left with a bunch of questions. And if I have a bunch of questions, I'm not going to grow if I don't know how to find the answers. And also, I'm not going to grow if when I go to find the answers, I find something, well, I may grow. I probably will grow out of that place. But if I go and I try to find the answers and I find that all that was wrong, which is what I have done a lot. But all of that it's different now. But I think it's because people started getting in the word. But yes, there is a sifting. There's something happening. Exactly, Carol. It is a lifeline. I guess we need to talk about what we're studying next week. On the 29th. Of course, chapter 3. Do we want to do 3 and 4? Let's see. I think that recent news about the Duggars have brought a lot of people to research what the Bible actually says. I started getting, I don't really know what's going on with them. I started getting to where I quit watching. Exactly, Carol. But I quit watching a lot of those. I don't watch much TV at all anymore, to be honest. If I do, it's some stupid comedy that doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, I know he's in prison, but I don't know everything. From what I understand, some of the daughters they're not talking to the parents and stuff, which I knew about that, Donna. I didn't know if there was something else going on. But there's a lot of things that are coming out in those types of things. And I believe it's because people believe too much that it was like, I don't know, the way that television does is not true. You know, I don't know how to explain it. Okay. Or Netflix. Okay. But I believe that a lot of the reality in the reality shows is not reality. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out which chapters. Do we want to just do 3 and 4? It's okay. Well, it's not really off topic because we were talking about a lot of different things. But do we want to do chapters 3 and 4? Yeah, let's do 3 and 4. Well, there's a lot of cults around too. I believe that um there's a lot of things we don't see that are cult like until we're in it or we woke up. All right, so let's just do 3 and 4. Get back on subject, y'all. That's fine. I don't mind talking in the comments. I'm just trying to read it all and I'm not saying anything. But chapter 3 is pretty long. I mean, it's not terribly long, but yeah, let's do 3 and 4 and then we'll go from there. And like I said, I get a lot more from these studies than I did in the beginning. Not to say that the oldest son wasn't despicable. Yeah, TV does do that, which, from what I understand, different ones of the daughters have come out and said things. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it because I don't know. It's like that family people idolized a little too much. And I watched every single episode because whenever they first, came out and everything was all big, is all these children and all this stuff. And it was so neat how they lived and how they did everything as a family and they did all this different stuff and it was like perfect. And so I watched it for years. And then I kind of got away from it. I think it's because we canceled cable. And then I started hearing all this stuff. I mean, I bought their books. I did all the things. And not everybody in the family is like that, though. It's just there's bad in every family. Let's just say that. There's bad in every family and there's good in every family. And TV does change a lot. They make things different than what it is. And from what I've heard some of them say, they were not allowed to actually. Daisy, you better leave that. She's trying to get in there with Jeff. Did y'all see her? She's trying to start banging. She will bang on the door. She will knock on the door. What are you doing? She's crazy. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna go. Noah's gonna come home in a couple hours to eat, but we're having simple meal tonight. So I'm gonna feed the boys, and then Jeff and I will eat later. I don't know what we're eating for me and him because he may not want what we were supposed to have, but I will find out whenever he does. But I will see you guys next time. Everybody seems to have gotten quiet or the stream has died. I don't know which one it is. But I will see y'all next time. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And yes, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful one. Don't eat so much that you can't stand to do anything. And be sure to wear your stretchy pants. But yeah. So I will see y'all later. Thank you for hanging out with me. And remember, don't take any wooden nickels and be sweet.